see a drop-off, I still expect them to beat kind of anyone who isn't in playoffs right now.
We'll definitely keep an eye on it, but we are into champion select, so Trajan, take it away, my friend.
We have a Vi, made it through the ban phase for the first time in a hot minute RMC. The LeBlanc actually banned by Fluxo, scared of Nostra has taken that away from him. So it's interesting to see the priority still on that pick, as you mentioned, could be a factor here. And notably, Brunsey Zeri also banned, despite the fact that people are not as high on this pick.
Honestly, a little bit surprised that it was Fluxo banning the LeBlanc, because I was thinking more for House than by House in terms of banning it. Now, the Zeri Tristan, as you mentioned, 80 carries, a bit of focus onto Brunsey, who has been popping off. And Trajan, Vi, her nerfs this patch, partially to her shield and to her ultimate cooldown reduction. So she's still every bit as big a threat into the backline as she used to be. It's more her survivability that took a bit of a hit. INTZ, though, did pick up the Maokai and the Rel, so it won't be the jungle Rel, which means that this Rel has been nerfed a little bit in terms of her base stats, can look to be punished.
Yes, Nia has been going back to this one several times recently, and of course the Maokai making a big resurgence. Now that people are more often banning the Vi, the Ivern, they're running out of space for jungle bans. The Maokai is suddenly available, it seems. As Fluxo, they've gone back to the Kai'Sa here for Brunsey. Now, Brunsey's Kai'Sa game was not my favorite, I must say. He's had a very good split, but the Kai'Sa was certainly not one of his good games. And House, sadly for me, sadly for everyone, has been pushed back onto the Ahri with the LeBlanc ban. So let's see what we can make of this pick.
Man, Trajan, I think Blind Kai'Sa is bait. About the only player who in CBLOL right now I feel is going to be able to pilot that Blind Kai'Sa, especially when Xayah, one of her big lane counters, is available, is up, was Trigo, and even Trigo lost with that last game. So this Blind Kai'Sa, especially after the static shift nerf, feels a little bit risky for me. I'm liking what INTZ have done right now. Really strong disengage. You have engage with Rel, though a little bit conditional, a bit shorter range, a bit harder to pull off. But you're not worried about having to find the perfect engages with Rel when Fluxo are drafting a composition that wants to run into you. Vi goes in, Kai'Sa goes in. I'm going to assume whatever top laner they end up picking, that's probably wanting to go in to melee range as well.
I'm pretty worried, honestly, seeing these first two picks from Fluxo, given the answers that INTZ have drafted. I think they're going to be very comfortable right now. The second round of bans continuing. Support focus so far for INTZ. The Gwen removed, as you say, from ZZK. They need to take him off these carries to keep Tay safe and stable up there, unless they do want to break the mold with him and get one of these sneakier picks out that we've seen in the past from Tay to give them maybe another angle. But you really need to commit to your identity here. I think that Fluxo are one of the teams for me that have one of the clearest identities, as I've said it in the past, and I would like to see them stick to a clear single goal for their team in a game.
And their last picks, the support and top laner, I guess will really round it up. I mean, I already think they're looking for the death ball composition, but it can still be a little bit flexible, so we'll have to see. The Cassiopeia ban against Nosferus, though, good considering he's one of the few Cassiopeia players, along with the likes of Tinones, and that's a great counter-engaged champion. The problem is, Annie is still up, and yes, she got a little bit of nerf from the Q. That really wasn't the problem. Tibbers is still going to mess you up, and more importantly, if you engage into Annie with Tibbers up, she just presses R, suddenly everybody's been locked down. It's not quite Petrifying Gaze, but it achieves pretty much the same effect.
Sante locked in for Tay, going back to all reliable there. Leona for Jojo, so we don't see that much as much for him as of late, but the engages is certainly something that he's been willing to go back to. Obviously good pairing with the Kai'Sa, but the Fluxo comp, this feels to me like if they don't actively hands check INTZ at multiple points on the map, they're just gonna lose when fight comes around. Yeah,
and it's not as if Fluxo have that strong a front-to-back composition either. When you pick the Kai'Sa, you were going to try and hand check INTZ, rounding out their comp with the Olaf, ZZK's most played champion, and one that we've seen repeatedly banned against him. I think it kind of just slipped the mind a little bit of Fluxo that, hey, the Olaf is still up, but we had to worry about the Gwen, you know, we wanted to worry about the Cassiopeia. Trajan, I agree with your analysis of the draft, and I think INTZ have got pretty much all the tools they want, but Yeso, your thoughts on the draft?
The big thing for me is that when you look at the current meta, you really are going to have a hard time not drafting enough hard engage for fights. When you look at what is meta in the jungle, top, and even support, there is a wealth of hard crowd control available to teams in top priority champions. I really love, and we saw it from Liberty in game 1, teams that are also deliberately bringing disengage to the table. And of course, it didn't work out as well as Liberty would have hoped in game 1, but INTZ have those tools here. You've got the Xayah, you've got the Maokai, even the Olaf can create trouble that, you know, can make it a team that you really don't want to run into. So I love that INTZ not only can start fights, but they have that disengage available to keep those carries safe. And look, you've got the tools that you're looking for on those star players, and this is going to be a tough match for Fluxo, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, yeah, so you were trying to do real analysis.
I know, I looked away as soon as RMC started chuckling. I was just like, I can't.
These loud fans are there. I said this last week, they're too comfortable, man. Someone needs to hold these guys back. They're getting a bit crazy in the studio, just licking each other. I don't know, man. Someone's going to hand them an L before too long.
Well, we'll see if Loud licks lost next game. We still got to get through Fluxo INTZ first.
Oh man, penalty. We're gonna sub RMC out for this game. Get out of here. This is gonna be a fun one, folks. Oh man, hey, it's Fluxo, it's INTZ, it's the battle of third place, and you've got my very good friends Trajan and the random minion caster ready to bring you all of the action.
Thank you very much, Jay. So let's refocus RMC. Let's get back on the ball here. Very destabilized by the chicanery going on in the CBLOL studio. Both of these teams will be focused, their eyes will be on the ball, and let's see if Fluxo can execute on this comp, if they can force through the choices that they have made when INTZ seem to have such good answers prepared.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple of times matchups like this, especially the Ariani matchup in the mid lane that was stock and staple for the first 2.5 weeks, so 3 weeks here in CBLOL, and a lot of that does feel like the Ahri doesn't win the team fight, and it's more about the Ahri trying to find flanks, trying to tease apart the enemy team, find picks on their back end, and Fluxo, their entire comp has to do that. If they front to back, if they try and team fight against INTZ, it's going to be incredibly difficult, and it's a real rough ask. So if anything, I want to see Desamas take over the game early, pre-level 6, before ults are online. Normally, you know, with Vise, we see them sit back and wait till that level 6 when they get that cease and desist. Don't do that, Desamas. Go for the ganks. Tay with the Kaisa, almost said Kaisa, pardon me, the Cassante is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Olaf early, but later on, it's going to become a problem.
Yeah, and if I'm a Fluxo fan, I'm happy to hear that Desamas needs to get stuck in early. This is something that this guy has been doing a lot more of in this split. He has been actively out-jungling some of the best in the business in this region. People like Aegis have been going down, getting caught out in their jungle and losing out in jungle leads. Desamas has had a very strong split here. You know, I love to sing the praises of people like Howes and Brunsey putting up the numbers, but the jungle has been very, very strong for Fluxo as well. And Yampi now, on his return to form, the resurgence of INTZ Yampi, could put up another tough challenge, but Desamas has taken some big scalps already.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about both these teams. Throughout the entire split so far, by the end of the week, these teams are always just one win away from each other at the furthest. They've matched each other's trajectory, their wins, their losses. And the top side, Tay. Okay, that's getting kind of dicey. Is it?
Dicey with the level 2 got hit, and he missed the Q. Tay, do we have to flash this? Oh, the undertow just about falls short. Oh my goodness, ZZK, we've seen a fair number of first bloods from this guy, and we almost saw another one.
Trajan, ZZK still has flash. If he can land an undertow, he can just flash in and just E and execute. So
he's sticking around. This man is bold. This is a brave Cassante play. He's just got his biscuit in his inventory. Maybe he feels good now.
Yeah, you know, the biscuit is good enough, I guess, to keep him alive. It does give you that instant heal, so it's a bit of a nerve game.
Yeah.
Has healed up enough. It should be safe. Now, Trajan, I did want to make the point that these teams are very, very similar in how they play. And you're talking up Desamas for his early game. I want to talk up Yampi for his early game. Like you said, he's back to form, and he's been a big part of INTZ's success as well. I think INTZ struggling in the early part of the split felt like a resource allocation, where the ganks weren't necessarily getting the right people ahead. If you were ganking Ninja Kiwi, ZZK was the one who was carrying. If you ganked ZZK, Ninja Kiwi was the one who was farming, or carrying towards the end game. I think Yampi's kind of figured it out now, and I'm curious to see where Yampi opts to go this game. I still stand by the fact that I think top lane is probably the most volatile early game part of the map and needs the ganks early. But at the same time, ZZK has actually been benefiting more from Ninja Kiwi getting ahead and drawing pressure down there. So I'm curious to see if Yampi opts to do that again this game, go down, you know, set Brunsey and Jojo behind, and a Kaisa and a Leona that's behind is a Kaisa and Leona who can't do very much.
Yeah, they can't really go in aggressively if they're just going to melt on the front line, especially when you're going into a potential Xayah ultimate, into the disruption coming through from Maokai, from Annie, from Rel. So a tricky line to walk for Brunsey, and as I said before, I thought his Kai'Sa game was a little sketchy before. The decision-making wasn't quite on point, was getting caught out a little bit, so I'm looking for a stronger performance out of Brunsey here for him to continue making that case for, you know, back to the top of the AD carry pool, as Ninja Kiwi has been himself. There's just too many good AD carries, honestly, per square foot in this region, I think.
True. The AD carries here are absolutely stacked. I still remember last split when I was told that, you know, Root would be the first Korean AD carry to win a CBLOL championship. I was actually shocked, and that just reinforced to me how good the AD carries, how good domestic talent is in CBLOL. And Brunsey, you know, being one of those players, Ninja Kiwi as well. Sometimes we joke that Ninja Kiwi's been elo held, right? He's been on some really rough rosters. I remember the Renska roster with like 12 people by the end of it, like the way they kept switching in and out. But here in INTZ, I think Ninja Kiwi has found a home, a team that can allow him to shine, and especially up against an AD carry like Brunsey, these are the perfect times to show it. He showed us already the split, but I will never get tired of watching AD carries prove their chops here.
Yeah, 100%. The team has grown around Ninja Kiwi in this split. Everyone now hitting new highs in their performance. You see the Dragon started up by Desamas, like contested. Tay with no flash, dragged back as well, goes in aggressively, gets the shield, and actually trades out pretty well. He is managing this Olaf fairly cool, calm, and collected. And Fluxo, rotating more members, should be able to pick up this X-Tank.
INTZ are aware Fluxo is doing it, but they're not really in a position to move forward. House has actually been doing a really good job in the mid lane of pushing out. Almost every time we looked in the mid lane, House is pushing Nosferus into the turret, and once again did that, so able to respond with greater numbers for INTZ. Not the end of the world. Yampi's been kind of focused on just power farming as much as possible. Looks like he's waiting for that level 6, and we said it before, this composition for INTZ, they're about the team fights. The early game, the skirmishes, that's not their game, except for maybe ZZJ.
Yeah, maybe ZZJ can get stuck in for sure, as Tibbers dropped in the mid lane. We see this so often, just a raw Tibbers ultimate to poke down your opponent, especially if they've just TP'd, as House has. So they're constantly at that health disadvantage and don't have a quick way to get back into lane to solve that problem. Yampi making his way onto the bot side of the map. Desamas is hanging around there, but the Raptor camp is unattended and should be stolen away.
Yep, getting that priority in that mid lane from that level 6. Bot lane also at priority. We saw Nia and Ninja Kiwi pushing out because Jojo was not quite in lane earlier on, so Brunsey kind of had to pay a little bit of that price. Sapling's going to be able to track Desamas as well. So for all that Fluxo made the early moves, you know, with that Dragon, we've not actually seen the ganks come through just yet. And INTZ are in full awareness of everything Fluxo has been looking to do so far.
Crashing into the bot side. We have with that engage, or that invade I should say, from Yampi on the bot side. He's extended that CS lead over Desamas. This is one of the first times we've seen Desamas actually get outstripped in the CS department and lose control kind of at the pace of the jungle. As the scuttle picked up by Yampi as well. So a very strong start for INT's jungle. I'm glad that you took the time to tell his side of the story in that matchup, RMC, because he's showing it to us right now.
Yeah, man. We'll have to see as well in the team fights. That to me is the critical part of this game, is all the team fights later on. Desamas didn't gank early, unfortunately, which is what I was hoping we'd get to see, and that might come back to haunt him yet. Great sidestep from Nosferus. With Jojo there, they don't really want to aggress. Even though jungler versus support, jungler's up ahead, Yampi has ultimate available, they don't have enough damage, unlike, say, a Vi, Ari.
Yeah, and I believe Tibbers still on cooldown as well. House did have the Spirit Rush, so they don't have that extra damage, as you'd said. The nerf to the Q, fine, sure, good idea, but the Tibbers was untouched, and that's the real sick man that comes down and can change the course of these fights. So it has been a tense at times, but bloodless early game so far for the first 8 minutes. But INTZ accruing a small gold lead for themselves. Fluxo with the Dragon instead, as Nia with no ultimate. Desamas without the Vault Breaker. I doubt we commit the full ult here.
Honestly, I was actually thinking Desamas might be able to kill Nia, but there wasn't any backup. But Fluxo doesn't know, right, where necessarily every member is. I do believe they had vision on Yampi going up to the scuttle, but they're just not really willing to risk it for too much now. And now INTZ going to be able to pick up the Herald completely uncontested. Fluxo, they're still looking a little bit. Desamas could look for an invade. I mean, you know the jungler's topside, and you know where all the laners are.
Yeah, but it's a Xayah, isn't it, with level 6, with Flash, with Cleanse. We've talked about how hard the engages are for Fluxo to make sticks just on a compositional level. And now that INTZ have all their buttons available, it's so risky to go for that dive in the early stage, as the 2v2 instead is opted for. But Jojo without an ult of his own as well. They don't really want to take that fight too early.
Yeah, and for Nia and Ninja Kiwi, they're still not completely confident they'll win this fight either. Again, Xayah does take some time to scale up. So pretty peaceful across the board, Trajan. 0-0 in 9 minutes. And honestly, yeah, it's not like the first two games where... Okay, I was going to say, like, we didn't see too much blood. We did actually see quite early first bloods in those games. But a lot of times, like, it felt like we didn't get as many kills because the teams were walking away, limping away. In this case, neither teams are fighting. And I'm looking at Fluxo to try and kick things off. I stand by what I said. They have a skirmish composition. They're better in these smaller fights. But they've actually got to get those fights started. The longer the wait, the more concerned I am for what's going to happen later when the big fights break out.
Yeah, I'm not loving the look of the 5v5. If this just keeps waiting until, you know, this dragon fight in 50 seconds perhaps could be a catalyst there. INTZ showing up nice and early, putting lots of vision down, making sure they have control to stop the stacking from Fluxo. They have the confirmation that it won't be a Hextech or an Infernal Soul, so not the super high damage souls that they could potentially play with, but INTZ are looking very confident and comfortable right here. They know, I think, that they've drafted themselves a good position. And they're waiting to see what Fluxo does, right? Like, we're just gonna go. We're gonna go and start this dragon. If you've got something to say about it, let us know. But we think we're sorted.
Yeah, and Fluxo, Tay just teleported back to lane. So this is gonna be a 4v4 if we see the fight. INTZ are fully aware of this.
Howl Spirit rushes to safety, but 2 more members could chase him down. But they don't have that snap engage. Only the Annie can really just kind of press the stun button. Enrage for W. Now still poking aggressively with that Spirit Rush, daring them to try something. Actually, esports against the charm before developing. In goes the engage. But look at the service, or Jojo, I should say, completely on his own. Has to flash out. I'm shocked that he survived that one.
But it's critical that Jojo did survive, and more importantly, baited out Tibbers, because House blew the Spirit Rush early and didn't get out Tibbers. Now, because that's happened, INTZ have to back off. They blew 2 big ultimates on this fight. They don't really want to commit to this. You can afford to give that up. They have Ninja Kiwi and Nia's ult still available, but those are a lot more conditional and Fluxo. When all said and done, no kills yet, Trajan. They kind of looked at each other, and Fluxo won the ceremony.
Yeah. That is wild that nobody died and Fluxo retains control of the dragon when INTZ seems to have such a good setup for it and just no way for Fluxo to break in. Howls just dared them to start a fight. Fluxo got away with it. Second dragon for themselves. What rift do we have here? It is the Ocean. Nice amount of regen in the fights as now we've got a 1v2 on the top side. Tay well on the wrong side of town. No shot. We see a Gigo-esque outplay. It is first blood for the Olaf.
Gifted to ZZK as well, able to pick that one up with the axe. And INTZ, good, really good response with that. There is no Herald to necessarily trade, but getting first blood is worth quite a bit as well. And more importantly, because there isn't Herald, because they already took it, they're going to get a lot of plates for ZZK. Are we ready, Trajan? Oh, bang!
There it is. Comes down through just the 1 plate, but it's close to a second as well. Now you can see the impact on the gold charts right here. ZZK, the first blood, the gold, the CS advantage, and a lot of money to play with. These mid-game skirmishes got a whole lot scarier if the Olaf is there.
Yeah, gonna get spotted on board, canceling the pace. There is backup in his pocket, so gonna be comfortable. Yeah, gonna be fine. It's perfectly okay. Now, let's go back top, Trajan, a little bit, because that top lane turret now on 1 plate is actually a little bit scary for Tay. You can afford to continue chipping away on that. ZZK has been pressuring, and if it gets low, that's no longer a safe lane. We could very easily see a repeat gank in the mid lane.
Ultidos through the mid lane. If they chain that CC, they should have to make it work, but Tibbers locks up the Samus in tower range. And Nosferus with the smooth outplay in the 1v2 house splashes in, but there's a stopwatch already. And here comes Maokai around the corner to root him up. This is disaster for Fluxo.
Oh, Trajan. Looks, the idea was there. It was good, but so many factors unfortunately played against them. And INTZ, Nosferus specifically, amazing defensive play.
Engage on the bot side, chase CC onto Brunsey, Killer Instincts to safety, fires some damage back, but surely Ninja Kiwi will retain control. Hadn't even Featherstormed yet and gets the flash out of Kai'Sa. Jojo left on his own. Ninja Kiwi finds one for himself, and there's plate gold to be had as well.
INTZ have woken up the sleeping giant, awakens Trajan in this game as well. It's been a quiet, sleepy early game, but now INTZ are turning it on across the board, and this is getting worrisome for Fluxo. We get the sort of repeat. You can see how much they committed into that, but Nosferus insta flashes out, and it's so difficult to dive Annie, not just because she's got CC, but because of the damage she puts out. And once again, Nostrus with the fast fingers, mechanical strength. I don't even fault House for trying that. Like, that's the call. You thought you could make it happen. Great, you go for it. And the moment it didn't pan out, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is pretty tough there. Putting yourself behind in the damage. Leandri's Torment already completed for Nosferus. Hydra in topside, Kraken in bot lane, a lot of power entering the inventories of INTZ. They've only really got the Thornmail completed on Tay and the static Shiv for Brunsey holding on to that meta. And we'll have the wave clear, but not as much damage as some other options could have. So INTZ sitting pretty right now. They're over 4,000 K ahead at 14 minutes all of a sudden.
Yeah, off of just a series of kills across the board for INTZ in multiple lanes. Static Shift, let's talk a little bit about that, because you mentioned, Trajan, the fact that Brunsey's still holding on to that, and we kind of expected Kai'Sa might
Oh, they engage again. Nostrils look for the counter, and the Maokai was ready in the wings. Brunsey with no flash. It's disaster again. Fluxo. These plays are just going horribly for them.
And they're going hard for these plays for reasons I'm not quite understanding, Trajan. I understand that you want to win these skirmishes, but you're brute forcing them in odd positions. INTZ not only get the kills, they're going to get Herald after this. And that's also going to force Tay back off that top lane turret, because if Herald drops, Tay is not safe. So this is having a massive waterfall, a huge cascading effect. And INTZ are just snowballing out of control.
Exactly. They've got the tools ready. As long as their champions are in the right place, they have all the tools to cancel out what Fluxo are doing. And House is going to try and collect bot lane tower, but Nosferus ready and waiting. The gold lead even greater. 6 kills to 0 for Fluxo. They only have the breaks to the name right now.
Okay, on that top lane, Ragnarok being popped by ZZK, getting a little hyphy under turret. Should be fine though, and Yampi has decided to leave the area. So no risk of a dive onto Tay yet. Not that Tay knows that, because he didn't have vision on Yampi. Now, Trajan, I want to talk about the static shift, because I do think that's a big reason of what happened in the mid lane and why it happened. Static shift is not a good team fight or combat item. It's good for poke, it's good for wave clear, and that was true even before the nerfs. Post nerfs, even more so. So I'm a little bit puzzled about why Fluxo opted to pick that fight, because they were the ones to try and kick it off onto Ninja Kiwi and Nia.
It does feel like, as we said before, that Fluxo have to hardcore outplay INTZ, kind of at all stages of the game, to make this draft work. And they're just not. INTZ, they're not an out-of-playoffs team anymore. This is not a free win like it could have been in previous splits. INTZ are a contender. They go toe-to-toe with our best teams, with Red, with Pain, with Loud. And now Fluxo, who are just a couple of steps below them, still trying to make the case as to why they should be considered in the same conversation, are really just looking a bit outclassed here today.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just, you know, maybe it's a draft, maybe something happened. I'm looking at Fluxo now and trying to figure out, how do they get back into this game? Because it looks bad when they're down, 5,000 gold, when they're down 0-6. But realistically, they did get the first 2 dragons. So that's kind of good. They slowed down the dragon stacking, and they still have pick tools. Ahri, one of the good things about Ahri is even when she's behind, build the Everfrost, you still have utility, you can still make action happen. And Vi, likewise. One of the reasons why Vi was such a high priority champion is her ease of engage. If you ever see anyone alone, point and click press R, and you lock them down. So for Fluxo right now, they need to start getting some vision down so they can rotate to the jungle and look for picks. INTZ isn't grouping up yet. They still are trying to get pressure down in multiple lanes. They're still in that sort of laning phase, though that's about to change really quick. So here's a potential window of opportunity.
In from House onto Nosferus, looking for the charm, holding it for a long time now. Tibbers is there, Tay is ready. The kill is picked up, so a nice clean one. Punish onto the Annie, a shutdown secured. A little bit of gold, and finally something goes right for Fluxo to stem the bleeding just a smidge.
Yeah, they did lose the turret though, and that's one of the timers they have to watch for. Once all outer turrets are down, don't expect to be able to catch multiple members of INTZ on their own like that anymore. After that, it's probably mostly just ZZK split pushing, everybody grouped up. So Fluxo, there's another opportunity up top on that turret. Granted, it's ZZK. You can try and maybe pick ZZK. That one's a lot harder than trying to pick Nosferus.
Yeah, the double summoners with Ragnarok Olaf, especially when he's got a Maokai and a Rel waiting behind him. As he's going for this tower kill, Fluxo trying to contest it, but might be getting hard engaged on as Valkyrie comes out. How's just getting minced by the Olaf, and DeSamus and Brunsey showing up, but this fight might be too far gone. TP's in and Ninja Kiwi coming around the corner. Everybody piling into topside, but INTZ are in full control, RMC. Another fight goes well for them, and they're shoving in this wave.
what's terrifying to me, Trajan, was how that fight started. ZZK don't give a care in the world to anybody right now. He's willing to 1v1 anyone. We've been watching ZZK and Tay, so I was like, oh, you know, maybe ZZK isn't that strong yet. He's only sitting on a Ravenous Hydra, right? No. He is sitting on a Ravenous Hydra. And to start this fight, House thinks, oh, I've still got a turret. Surprise. No, you don't. It was already too low. And like you said, just got minced, just got run down. And Fluxo trying to come in here. They kind of got baited a little bit.
Yeah, and House didn't have his flash, didn't have his ultimate, didn't have his ultimate for sure at least, just didn't really have the tools to make anything of that. INTZ just walked in, just walked at them, and there was no answer really for Fluxo. So INTZ, if they need to make a fight happen, it's not all disengage options for them as their gold lead extends even further. Taking control of the bot side right now, a while before the next Drake. So we'll see if Fluxo want to try and make anything else happen in that time, but it's really not been going that well for them as of late.
Yeah, and again, the question is, who are you going to make this play on? Right? Ninja Kiwi, perfectly safe. The Featherstorm, the Cleanse, the Flash, all the safety tools are up for the Xayah. If you go onto Nia, Nia is never on their own. If you're diving that rail, there's probably somebody in their back pocket. ZZK is not really looking like a juicy target at this point. That looks more like a bit of an iron wall you're trying to kick if you're trying to go for that gank. Yeah. So it's pretty much Nosferus. And look at Nosferus. Nosferus wasn't on his own. Yampy was actually sitting on the side, making sure that every time Nosferus is pushing out, they've got safety, they've got coverage.
They've tried to pick Nosferus a few times this game. It's not gone hugely well almost every single time. He's got the Zhonya's now completed as well. Even more time to buy for his team to come through and cover. As Fluxo, you can see them scared to even make a way through their jungle, and rightly so. INTZ with full control right now. And for side of INTZ, I guess we're just wait for the objectives to roll around. Fluxo, we know that they've got the answers to their tools, and all they have to do is show up on time.
Yeah, and before we had said, okay, INTZ's drop doesn't have a lot of hard engage. As you rightly pointed out, Annie, probably their most reliable engage, and she is fairly short range. Rel, roughly similar range, maybe a little bit longer, but not as reliable. Problem is now, if you're fighting an objective, you don't have to worry about the engage. Fluxo have to play into you.
Around the corner with Ty.
There we go.
Engage onto the hard CC there. Ninja Kiwi picks up the kill onto the support. Already a 4 versus 5, and INTZ still completely full HP. Fluxo, there's just no shot we can make this happen.
No,
the Samus, it's painful with the Q. Flash and bogs his head on the wall, dies for the trouble. Oh my goodness, this is a mental destroyer for Fluxo.
And for Samus, you have no choice. That is the only viable play you make as a jungler. You know you're dead, you go for the flash. Whether you make it or not wouldn't have mattered in this case. INTZ were just too ahead. And Trajan, we just got the longest game of the split. We are staring down at potentially the fastest game. INTZ is just walking in. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like they could brute force this all the way to the next if they wanted.
I believe the fastest game is something like 25-39 from Fluxo versus Kaboom, I think is the fastest game of the split. It's 25-30 something, and these towers are falling pretty quick.
Yep, they just walk on it. I want to highlight too, Fluxo's up. It's not as if INTZ's walking in and pushing an advantage because they've got a man advantage. No. They are just that strong right now, and they can repeat this on that bot side, on that inner turret. There's no contest. Fluxo can meaningfully offer outside their base. You see the replay, and look at Yampy. Yampy's tanking Baron alone, and he's still healthy. That's the big difference between this Baron and regular 20-minute Barons. INTZ is in full control. We didn't have to do this almost like that.
It pains me, man. I weep for this play.
And again, I want to say, the Samus made the right call. It looked ugly, it messed up, but it was the right strategic call from the Samus.
Yeah. It's just a bit emblematic of this game. It's just not been on point. The execution's not great. The draft not great. Fluxo having a real stinker here, honestly, versus INTZ. And they wanted to get this win, right? They wanted to take sole control of third position. Pain and Red are pulling away into the distance, and BKS just got knocked down by Red. So there was an opening to try and secure your top 4 positioning. The later we go into the second round robin. But it is looking all too easy for INTZ, standing up against even our high mid-tier teams. They push on to the Nexus.
Yeah, just nature's grass. And look how far Fluxo have to run away. They can't even look at that turret. And with inhibitor turrets as well, the moment the first one falls, the others get a lot easier to take, because now you've got supers pushing in. Now you've got a distraction. You can always play on a different lane. And the moment Fluxo have anybody leave, you can bet your bottom dollar INTZ is ready for that dive.
Well, a little bit of a trap set up here. Jojo, he takes the safe way. He's not going to go and take another loss. 0-4-0 right now, the Leona. Really not his day today either. As the Baron only 20 seconds left in the power play. The reservation shown by INTZ and Fluxo's not attempting to fight is probably what is going to keep this game extending past the 25-minute mark. The Dragon now being picked up, still far away from the Soul. Fluxo trying to get what vision they can, but realistically, it does feel like a bit of a fool's errand.
Yeah, so it feels like they're just trying to set up a trap on the other side of the map. They know INTZ will probably want to play towards that top. Maybe like a 4-1 split push where you got 4 pushing either the mid or the top side, and then obviously CCK being the one to split push, being that unholy terror that he is on this Olaf. 3-0-2. You know, we haven't seen Tay and CCK match up in a while, but I suspect at this point, Tay can't actually match up with CCK in the 1v1.
Yeah, I think CCK would absolutely blast him in that 1v1, honestly, with a Ravenous Jack Show and a Sterax completed as well. My word. This Olaf is quite large. Nia looks for a small engage there. Doesn't get charmed up and he'll be able to walk away. Tay is desperately trying to keep this bot lane in check as much as possible, but INTZ are bearing down on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Tay also took the top side outer turret already, so got a bit of objective bounty for the team. Is doing the right job with this Cassandra. You just don't want to fight. Yep, just keeps pushing, doing what you can. Bot side pushes so much harder though, because the super minions will take so much more time to cut through, and INTZ, they're already set up and ready to pressure in onto Fluxo. Remember I said, like, there's a number disadvantage. INTZ, if they've got a wave, they're ready to die.
I'm struggling, man, to see the way out. I'm looking at Bronze. He's got Nash's static shift. It's not a great 2-item burst combo, you know. There's just not too much to be offered. Nature's Wrath again. Fluxo retreat into next year. The fear of that ultimate, and the inhib's probably going to be taken down as well. Fluxo, we've got to find the answer. We have to find the engage. We have to do something. But Nia calls the shots, goes straight in with Timbers, and Howls is the first to go down. Inhib quickly follows. Nia drops low, but backs out to safety as the Samus is getting monstered by CZK. 2 kills, 2 inhibs down. INTZ making quick work of Fluxo.
And you know what? You said that Fluxo need to find an answer. They found a sort of answer. They were at least willing to re-engage, look to fight, and they managed to find one on the back end of it. Problem is, it's Nia. And so even if you did manage to trade 1 for 1, exactly, INTZ's like, cool, bro. We got this, right? We've got the 4 stronger members still ready for you to try and fight into us. And don't forget, again, INTZ have a very strong composition when you're playing into them.
Yep. If you have to make the first move, INTZ are well equipped to deal with it. Fluxo again, trying to get some vision down, trying to pick up what farm they can. If they can just keep their Nexus alive, get some more items on deck, perhaps they can finish up these kills onto the front line a little quicker. But that's assuming that INTZ's carries are just kind of looking the other way, twiddling their thumbs, which they have not been doing today. The Samus tries desperately to get the smite down. He will find it, but has he given himself up for the trouble? Gets away from the Nature's Wrath, but then dashes back into it, and he's on Grump. And does he have to flash the wall? He doesn't have flash. Does he have Vault Breaker? It doesn't matter. It's been blocked up. On the other side, Tay's getting caught out. I am just baffled as to what this Samus is up to in this topside RMC. Where's he going?
Home. He's going home, Trajan, the fastest way he can. Brunsey trying his darnest right now to find anything, doing his best Tay impression with that split push. It's going to be able to find an inner mid turret. So Fluxo, for all that they're struggling to execute in these fights, has actually been playing a really good macro game from a losing end. But you're salvaging a bad situation. And sure, I get the occasional turret here or there. INTZ are getting Baron. And every time they're getting Baron, or they're getting hard pushes into your base, they're getting multiple structures, it's still looking dire for Fluxo. And Trajan, earlier, I was asked the question, when do you think, INTZ has proven themselves? I'm going to ask you that, Trajan. You think they've proven themselves?
I think with this win, I'm going to call it a win. I'm willing to take that bait and get owned if Fluxo manage to scrap the way out of this one, because we'll have an exciting game to watch. They, with this win, have certainly earned that contention, right? Even when they're taking games long versus good teams, like we've seen Liberty take a good game versus Red. We still wouldn't say that Liberty are like a good team right now. But INTZ, that I think shows that they do have the quality there, and they are not giving up the easy wins. They're taking the fight to the even and lower standings compatriots very, very well. They look like they know exactly what their opponents are doing. They're drafting super intelligently. They're executing well. Their hands are on point. they've got everything going for them right now, man. The only problem is, you know, teams like Red and Pain just have a bit more of that experience at the tip-top level in these playoff series, but I think the INTZ definitely have the skill to challenge. Another Nature's Wrathing goes near to follow it up. It's always Yampi and Nia getting this kicked off. But Fluxo are fighting back a little bit. Tai goes forward, but okay. Root from Ninja Kiwi stops the follow-up, and Fluxo go 1 for 1.
Hey, remember my situation earlier? Oh, you killed Nia. Great.
Oh, hard commitment for Ninja Kiwi's got down to front save! I can't have invited such an insane caster curse again. It's fine. INTZ have saved it. It's fine. It's okay. ZZK's got it under control. No need to panic.
He's still got ghosts if he wants to burn. There we go.
Yeah,
I was wondering how long we'd have to wait.
Yeah, just do it to him. Just press the button. We're not saving the ghost. There we go.
It's the end of the game. What are you saving for, Tay? Desperately trying to hold this one. I mean, he's not in risk of dying, but he's also not at risk of killing anybody right now.
Yeah, does that was up in 3 seconds in the 3 versus 2 with Jojo maybe after 5 more? There could be an angle, but it's a lovely separation actually. We've gone into the post-win screen, but it's a jungler for a turret, and I think the game's not quite done. Observers, can I get the big screen, please? I'm trying to see what's going on in this fight as ZZK drops as well. Fluxo not done yet.
I think we all got baited there.
Magnifying glass out. Can I just... What's going on in here? Can I... what's there? Oh, it's gone. The whole game's gone. Okay, there we go.
They're defending. The observer also got tricked into thinking that was going to be it for INTZ, but caster curse lives on. Just we were talking about how strong INTZ is.
What the observer curse, right? They've actually claimed that the game is over already. That might be even more powerful than a caster curse and could empower Fluxo to somehow win this game.
It'll have to make up 7,500 gold ration. That's a lot of gold for a curse to make up. Oh man,
it would be a long road, but not an impossible one. The dragon is picked up again here. It's only 3 once again. The early dragon cycling for Fluxo is really paying dividends that they're not going up against the Soul right now, because it does give them that little extra chance to not have to play against that regen in the fight.
Yeah, though I will say, I almost feel like if INTZ have to go to that Soul, something's probably wrong.
It's not going well.
There are no turrets left on the map for Fluxo. Like, both Nexus turrets are down. Just the Nexus and inhibitors right now. And INTZ, they just kind of need to group up and brute forces. They were diving turrets already before this. Imagine what they can do now that there are no more turrets to dive. Well, I say that. There's still a fountain they could look to dive. But that... Oh, yeah. That would be interesting. If INTZ
it does feel like this is just a 5-man stack. You run it down mid and go, we're just going to keep walking forward. And, like, if you have an answer again, let us know, because we're pretty confident here. They are going back to this mid lane. Let it get burnt out. Put some flanking vision in place, which is fair. You know, good idea there. Play in with the super minions, and they could easily rotate to the other inhibs from mid once they actually get to the base.
Yeah, and they've still got the supers pushing down mid as well, so they're going to try and play around this for now. I am a little bit concerned if they don't pull the trigger soon. The poke from Bruntsy is sticking. There we go. One guy gets off.
No good targets picked up there. No, Tibbers goes down onto Jojo, but not the best engaged on the front line. TK dropping lower. House committing.
Okay.
Thomas is in, and the Tibbers has found one. Bruntsy fired on the backline again. Fluxo, can they get it done? But Ninja Kiwi, they got to get this current. They found it again.
Okay.
Fluxo, there's no shot. This is happening. How have we done this? How have we cursed them so badly? Fluxo again at the jaws of defeat find another successful team fight as Tay is indomitable and will work. Oh my god,
no way.
No way. Fluxo,
he stops it again.
He can get his screen, drops the undertow, he's been caught up in the ace. House on the push. There's no shot, RFC.
20 seconds, and House doesn't have Lichbane. He doesn't have a pushing item. Yes, AP does damage to turrets, but not enough. Nosfer's up in 10 seconds. Can they take the Nexus turrets?
Oh.
They're too slow.
God, Desamus is almost there. Surely not. Surely not.
They can't.
Support is there as well.
Nosfer's is back.
Oh my goodness gracious, man. I thought that would have been the most insane curse of all time, but the game is not done. INTZ, you cannot afford another fumble like that.
Trajan, today is not good for my heart. I'm gonna lose my voice at the rate we're going. Liberty already blew my mind, and now Fluxo, from the literal brink of death with an open Nexus, win a team fight without any turrets. And we gotta rewatch how this team fight broke down, because INTZ should have held all the cards, but the Maokai ultimate only catches the tank. And look at Desamus on the side, just threatening, holds the Vault Breaker for so long. And I guess INTZ object permanence, they kind of lost it among the fight, exposed Nosferus, and unfortunately Ninja Kiwi is now so deep in as well without that front line to protect, and it just goes all so wrong. If Fluxo can do this once, Trajan, they can do it again, and this time without a inhibitor, without a turret to slow down in the bot lane, that could very well spell a turnabout, a complete reversal from Fluxo.
Yep. Really hit max and AP twice a moment there. He's got the Ravens there engaged onto Yampi. It's only the tank. Remember, the frontline engages aren't the best, but Nosferus isn't quite there yet.
Oh my goodness.
Now Kayle is down. Hal's still looking for more. Fluxo now oozing with confidence after the last couple of fights. You'd barely believe they were at the gates of their Nexus mere minutes ago. The Baron is live, the Dragon up in a minute as well. Plenty to play for in the next little while.
Inhibitors have fully respawned for Fluxo, so now it's INTZ on a timer with supers pushing on that bot side. Baron, though, is melting real quick here.
Brunsey coming over from mid lane to Samus. We saw how badly it went before. Doesn't attempt it this time. Tibbers again only on the front line. Tay will walk that one off with no problem, and Tibbers goes down. It's actually a 5v5 now, not a 6v5. And INTZ without some big ultimates, Fluxo. How hard do you want to force this? How confident do you feel? Evidently not quite confident enough.
Yeah, you don't want to be thrown. Fluxo just saw what happens, and the game is eminently throwable from both of these teams. So play it nice and slow. Dragon is coming up as well, Trajan, and despite the fact that INTZ did secure Baron, they were on the other side of the river, so Fluxo had to recall to try and come down, and if you saw how quickly Baron goes down, Dragon goes down faster.
Certainly does. Baron empowering the side of INTZ. Plenty of summoners where they need to be. Ninja Kiwi has everything he needs. Stopwatch, flash, cleanse. Very hard to lock him down. Howls looks for more onto Nia. Gets the root, gets the charm, forces the stopwatch. And the Nature's Wrath again is burned early. Fluxo doing a great job at removing these tools from INTZ before they can leverage them in the play.
Nosferus actually walking all the way back to defend this bot side because of the supers. Does have teleport available. Keep in mind, Pyromania stacks are something that you have to keep track of as Annie. If you're using spells to clear the wave, you might not have stun ready to go at the fight. And INTZ, they recognize this. They know that they're at numbers disadvantage. They know they're at a pressure disadvantage, and they're just going to seed this third Drake for Fluxo.
Again, we're getting another 7 Drake stack RMC today. These Drakes, we're seeing so many of them. Exterminated up and down the rift as the Baron power play. 90 seconds left. 90Z with these exposed inhibs and a Baron wave. They could look to push for it. Nosferus has the TP. He's making absolutely sure that there is no funny business to be going on in his own base, and has the Banshees now as well, plus the Zhonyas. Even more defense on the engage if they manage to find the miracle from Fluxo's side.
Banshee's Bill picked up from Nosferus as well, but he's not really looking for the flank. Success, be careful about the engage.
Damage onto Yampi. They have the DPS for it though, only about half his HP. Watch for Nosferus, watch for Yampi to come through. Take's been caught up, he's down.
Not like this!
And with the Baron push, the 4v5, surely this is not executable for Fluxo.
Trajan, are you trying to curse the support Fluxo right now? Here we go, House of Flag.
Desamis goes in, Ninja Kiwi drops the ultimate, they have to kill him.
Oh, Brett is in!
Deep, but it's just the death for Desamis. INTZ, they have the numbers, they have the advantage, they clutch it out. It came oh so close to a devastating throw, but they will take the win. They'll move up to 6-3, and these games today, RMC, they are stressing me out, bro.
Can you believe it? Trajan, 15 minutes ago, we were just saying this could be the shortest game of the split.
Oh my word.